Welcome back to the Vassy Capello Show on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
It's 25 minutes before the top of the hour. I want to update you now on the inquiry, the national inquiry that's taking place as we speak into allegations of foreign interference in both the 2019 and 2021 elections. We've heard from some really significant witnesses over the past few days. My colleague Judy Trinh, TV's national news correspondent, has been there day in and day out listening to all the witness testimony, and she's with us live here in studio now. Hi, Judy. Hi, Beth. So today we heard from the former leader of the Conservative Party, Erin O'Toole, who of course led the party in the 2021 election, and lots of the allegations that first surfaced refer to stuff that they say they later found out happened in some of the ridings they ended up losing. What did we hear from Erin O'Toole about that today?
Well, Erin O'Toole has said before that he felt 6 to 9 ridings, according to their projections, they should have won. And he blames that in part to foreign interference. But what was interesting is, like, sometimes it's construed as though it's a sour grapes that he lost, right? But what we saw today, and he testified about this, but we haven't seen the document. But today we saw the top secret document that actually came from CSIS, that came from Global Affairs in terms of the threat environment. And what we know from those documents that he saw, and they're also redacted already, so the threat might have been even greater. But what we see is that the Chinese Communist Party had a targeted campaign against the Conservatives because of their stance on 2 issues. O'Toole basically said he felt there were 2 main issues that was driving the targeting. Specifically, Michael Tong's bill in which he wanted the Parliament to recognize Uyghur genocide, as well as Kenny Too's bill, Kenny Too lost his riding in the lower BC mainland, but Kenny Too put forward a bill to create a foreign registry.
Right. Let me just play actually a bit of what Erin O'Toole testified, exactly what you're referencing there, about what he felt is why his party was targeted by the regime.
I believe our policies were more in line with allies like the United States that were starting to take more aggressive trade positions, our positions on human rights issues, the Uyghurs in particular, but also Hong Kong and Tibet. Our positions were much stronger, and I believe reflected our values and interests as a country better than the policies of Mr. Trudeau.
So Judy, Erin O'Toole today said 9 ridings, right? He kind of, after looking at all this stuff now, he's pretty conclusive around 9 ridings costing.
He's reached 9 as the top end, but 6.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, so that comment and that assertion was put to the Prime Minister. I want to play for you and for everyone listening what the Prime Minister said in response.
I can understand where someone who lost an election is trying to look for reasons other than themselves why they might have lost an election. The reality is we put in place a panel formed by top independent public servants, a task force staffed by security officials throughout our intelligence and security services to ensure the integrity of the 2019-2021 elections, and the conclusion of all those mechanisms is unequivocally that the election's integrity held.
Just make one quick point out of that, Judy. I don't think I heard, and you'd know better, I don't think the Conservatives, and in particular Erin O'Toole, at any point was saying we lost the entire election because of this, nor are they calling into question the outcome of that election like we first said to the border. They're saying in these specific ridings, they do believe that it cost them in those ridings.
That's correct. O'Toole was basically on the record saying that he doesn't think that even if he won those 9 ridings, it would have made a difference. They would have still not formed a government. But what he is concerned about is that when Trudeau speaks about the fact that, the overall election integrity held, it is across the big picture. But they weren't looking at specific ridings. And what this report shows, Vassy, is that ridings were targeted by the Chinese government, specifically where there were a high number of expat Chinese immigrants from China and Hong Kong. Like, I'm just going to read this to you right now, right? Because this is actual thesis documentation. It's been observed that the Chinese Communist Party information operation is active. It aims to discourage voters from voting for the Conservative Party of Canada. Right? And it also says that some of the disinformation included suggestions that Erin O'Toole wants to break diplomatic ties with China. The narrative is growing to considerable scale. And all this is happening over WeChat. And you have to understand that O'Toole found out when he was getting briefed by census that just in the lower mainland itself, 600,000 users of WeChat, mainly Chinese citizens. And they're not getting their information from television, they're not getting it from the newspaper. They are getting it on social media campaigns, and that's what's being used.
That's fascinating. Speaking of fascinating, there was also testimony yesterday from a significant political figure in all of this. Former Liberal MP, now Independent MP, Han Dong. What did we hear from him yesterday?
What I thought, you hear a lot about revisionist history, and this is interesting to me because Han Dong was first interviewed on February 25th by the commission lawyers. His initial statement said that he remembered one busload of fees. 2 weeks later, he said, his wife reminded him she was actually organized 2 busloads of fees. They went to seniors' homes and they convinced seniors to come home. Fine. But then, one day before he was set to testify, he brought up to the commission lawyers that, it jogged my memory again. My wife reminded me once again that there was a 3rd busload, this time of internationals. So the internationals were from a high school, a private high school, that at the time was not in his riding, but he went to visit them in their residence at Seneca College, which was in his riding. Now, Liberal nomination rules, as I think it is quite, parties vary, but allow you to vote for nominees when you're as young as 14. You don't have to be a Canadian citizen. You just have to show proof of address that you live in that riding, right? So what Han Dong said was that when he went to speak to these students, he wanted to encourage them to volunteer for his campaign and volunteer to register.
I have that clip, actually. Let's play the clip.
I want you to tell the commissioner under oath whether that school in 2019 was located in your riding or not.
I can give you that information because I don't recall, but I can tell you for sure that the residence is in the riding. I encouraged them to volunteer for my campaign, and for those who are eligible, I encourage them to register as Liberal members so they can vote.
So we just have a few minutes left, but on the bigger allegation as well, we finally heard from Han Dong, this allegation that Global first reported that he got sued Global for, that essentially he conveyed, I think it was to a Chinese consulate or embassy.
Chinese consulate official.
Don't let the Michaels out because it's going to help the Conservatives. What did he say about that?
He said the exact quote was that if you let the Michaels out now, it would show that Canada's hard stance was working. So what does that mean? It's not in context. There's other parts of the conversation, right? But could that have implied that maybe the Michaels should have remained in detention longer, right? He didn't say. He said he didn't recall. And I think that's also an issue with a lot of the testimony. He didn't recall many things. What we saw, for example, there was CISA said there was a proxy, a known Chinese proxy working on his campaign. That is highly regarded as a man named Michael Chan, who is a Markham councillor right now, who once worked for Kathleen Wynne's, was part of Kathleen Wynne's government. But the point of the matter is Michael Chan on the stand knows him. They go back years. So he distanced himself. He said he couldn't even remember he was part of Han Dong's nomination meeting. Well, there's video of him standing behind Han Dong. So, this defense of I don't recall. And that seems to be the fallback plan.
There's a lot coming out of this inquiry. It's been fascinating. Judy, thank you so much for your insights today and for your coverage. I'm sure we'll be talking to you over the next number of weeks because the Prime Minister is actually going to testify later this week.
Right.
That'll be a big one. Okay, we'll take a quick break. CTV's Judy Trin. We're back with our fact check next.
rain this afternoon and a high of 6 degrees. This evening, rain mixed with snow and around 3 degrees. Overnight, snow and heavy at times, around -1. Tomorrow with snow, we're looking at around 15 to 20 centimeters total for the storm. Tomorrow is a high of +1, and Friday is looking like mixed precipitation and 6 degrees. Ready to spring into CAA membership? Just $30 a year saves you hundreds with CAA every day. New members get 10% off for a limited time only. Visit CAAeveryday.ca. Conditions apply. In the CTV Weather Center, I'm Callum Fraser.
It's time to sharpen your knives as a new crop of chefs battle their way through 3 levels of competition. Gordon Ramsay and a new episode of Next Level Chef, Thursday at 8 on CTV.
Alpine News Network is here live with one of our superheroes.
I just helped Tom with a business loan. He needed to soup up his mechanic shop. Not to brag, but I once modified a car to match my ultra speed. It went so fast, it broke the speed of sound. At least no one was inside. I hope no one was inside. I guess I'll just stick to approving business loans.
Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, we're homework approved. Central License 12616.
Who knew a brief 1-week stay would change how Sheila viewed retirement? Hi, I'm Michael O'Byrne from Manotick Place Retirement Community. It was just a week while Sheila's son and daughter-in-law were out of town. But Sheila loved her time at Manotick Place. Home-cooked meals, boutique luxury apartments, daily activities, camaraderie amongst the staff and residents. She loved it so much, she decided to make it her permanent residence. Reserve your trial today. Reach out to Evelyn at manotickplaceretirement.ca.
I'm looking at engagement rings with a half-carat center created diamond. How many can you show me for less than $2,000?
321.
I want lots of other diamonds surrounding the center, and maybe some on the sides of the ring.
We have 424 rings between $2,000 and $24.99.
I want opulence, a ring with so many diamonds that it reflects an entire galaxy of light.
We can show you 882 more rings.
Good work, boys.
Spin. Located in the Rideau Center.
A little more. A little more.
Parking should be simple.
Good. A little more.
Quickly submitting and tracking a claim on the Bel Air Direct app actually is simple.
A little less.
Bel Air Direct. Insurance simplified.
How long do I have to wait?
You don't. A new Grey's Anatomy's here on CTV. And there's all kinds of drama brewing.
What are you waiting for? Let's go. We need to talk about what happened.
A new episode of Grey's Anatomy, Thursday at 9 on CTV.
The Bell Media Weekenders, powered by Barhaven Ford.
Want to know where the party's at this weekend? I've got you covered. I'm Sam McDade, and I've got the inside scoop on all the fun, exciting, huge events happening around the National Capital Region. And I'll share the deets with you every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday on CTV, Move 100, Pure Country 94, TSN 1200, and News Talk 580 CFRA. Let's go find some fun this weekend.
Bell Media Weekenders is powered by Barhaven Ford, Ottawa's newest and largest Ford store, and Eastern Ontario's #1 Ford EV leader.
Hello?
I see you.
Who is this?
I see what you're doing.
I'm not doing anything.
I see you're alone.
My boyfriend's right here.
Who is it?
I see that you're...
I see that you can't see well at all. Get up to $125 off prescription glasses at New Look. Offer ends June 2nd. Just at Mondo Opticians.
When you're working out at Planet Fitness, it's a judgment-free zone, so you can really step up your workout. That's why we've got treadmills. And our team members are here to help, so you can be carefree with the free weights. There are also balance balls, bikes, cables, kettlebells, and TRX equipment. But, no pressure.
Get started at Planet Fitness today for $1 down and then only $15 a month. Hurry, this great offer ends April 12th. $49 annual fee applies. See Home Club for details.
When you enter Geo, you enter a world of
hope and discovery with real-life superheroes using amazing powers that make us feel better. A special place just for kids that inspires us and cares for us with innovative, life-changing research. Geo helps so many kids every single day, helping us live our best lives, making a difference for children, youth, and families.
Geo, the best life for every child and youth.
The brilliance of the beautiful game shines bright on TSN.
That's right! Absolutely brilliant!
As the stars of Spanish football dazzle the world. Wow! La Liga lives here. Watch her stream on TSN.
This is News Talk 580, CFRA. Welcome back to the Vashi Cabello Show on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
10 minutes before the top of the hour. If you thought April meant winter was over, well, unfortunately, if you're in the eastern part of this beautiful country, you're probably wrong. Here to tell us how and why is Dave Phillips, the senior climatologist with Environment Canada. Hi, Dave. Great to have you back.
Well, thank you, Vashi. And you're so right about April. Wasn't it called the cruel month? I think it's because we want spring to be here in its glory and continuous. And boy, winter sometimes makes a comeback. So it is a little fickle and fitful, the weather in April, because, you know, it's sort of the time when winter wants to hold on and spring wants to get a foothold. So you get that back and forth and up and down, a real mixed bag of precipitation. Of course, what we're seeing right now is very much like that.
So let's talk a bit about what we are seeing. Sure. and where you're looking. I'm coming to you from Ottawa. We're sort of bracing for the possibility of a ton of snow and or rain. What will this part of the province be looking at over the next 24 hours?
Well, I mean, certainly in the Toronto area, they've had 20 hours of rain and it's not stopped yet, so somebody needs to turn off that faucet. In Ottawa, I mean, it was a threat of that, and yes, it came noon. It sort of came in early in the morning to places like Kingston and Peterborough, and it was Trenton, and it was heading to the Ottawa Valley, and boy, it arrived about noon. So we've had a couple of hours of rain, and probably we'll see maybe about 5 or 6 or 7 hours of the straight rain, because the temperatures are pretty mild. They're going to be up there to 6 degrees, which is, you know, about normal for this time of the year. So it's all going to be the liquid stuff. And then there's going to be a transformation over to the wet snow. So you won't see that wet snow as it falls, say, about 10 o'clock tonight. The temperatures drop from, say, 5 or 6 degrees down to about 1 degree, about, say, 11 o'clock tonight. And then about midnight, it's going to be snowy, and it's going to be heavy snow at times. And throughout all of that, you've had these strong winds. I mean, that was sort of the first arrival. You knew that there was some wild weather coming, because the winds were, you know, east at 30, gusting up to almost 60 kilometers per hour. And so you could hear it. You couldn't actually see it in terms of the precipitation, but that's coming. And so in total, we think, Vashi, that, you know, maybe 10 to 15 millimeters of rain before it's finally counted. And then add to, on top of that, 10 to 20 centimeters of snow. Now, some of that will melt because of the ground is still fairly warm, and then there's the rain that the snow falls in. But in some cases, it'll be quite heavy. You know, 5 centimeters an hour, which will reduce visibility down. That's going to be, say, midnight to early morning. So I think tomorrow morning will be the commuting issue for Ottawa and in Montreal.
I was going to say there's some mornings into Quebec and the eastern townships there as well.
That's right, and the rain hasn't even started yet in Montreal, and it's the transformation over to snow will be a little quicker because the temperatures will fall a little faster, so they could end up with 15 to 20 centimeters of snow. You know, actually, that's not a surprise for April. I mean, April, I looked at the records. I think there's been 1 year in 85 years in Ottawa, and maybe 2 in Montreal, where they didn't have snow in April. And my gosh, not to scare you and your listeners, but sometimes you can get snow in May. A third of the Mays have had snow. Now, it may be a skip of snow, a touch of snow, a trace of snow. It's not much. There's no plowing, pushing. And even this snow. I mean, my gosh, Vashi, after all this snow ends, you know, and we're talking about maybe up to 20 centimeters of snow. Then we see warm temperatures. The sun comes up.
Okay, good. I was going to ask, how fast is it going to go?
Yeah, I think it'll go pretty quickly because it's very wet, very heavy snow. So, but it's falling on warm ground because we've had almost summer-like temperatures already in March. So so my sense is it's not. And the good news is, hey, this is not January. This is, you know, this snow would come around at Easter, you know, it would January. So it's going to come what nature giveth can taketh away. And I think you won't even have to, oh my gosh, I wouldn't even shovel it. I mean, because nature's going to look after it with some warm temperatures right away. Even Friday, we could be up say 6 degrees, 11 degrees, double digits on Saturday, Sunday, and then lots of sunshine. So my sense is it's kind of a 2-day wonder, and it's something that sometimes April brings us.
That's the positive note I'm glad to leave everybody on. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it as always.
Great, Bashi. Bye-bye.
David Phillips is the senior climatologist with Environment Canada. The bad news for Eastern Canada, the storm's coming. The good news is it sounds like it's going to leave us as fast as it comes in. Please do stay safe as you travel the roads during that snowfall, though. Let's do a quick fact check with the time we have left. Fact check. In the minutes we do have, before I hand things off to my colleagues, I did want to flag some of the comments on immigration that you heard earlier from the federal housing minister. I asked him specifically if the feds are looking at changing permanent levels of immigration. Here's what he said.
My view and the view of Minister Miller that he expressed when he tabled the most recent immigration levels plan was that the permanent residency numbers are in the right place. We're growing our permanent population at a pace we can handle, and in fact, the benefits to Canada are numerous and significant. If you look at the labor force growth in this country, about 100% of it is driven by immigration.
So that answer came from a question I asked the federal housing minister that was based on this comment from the prime minister earlier in the day.
Over the past few years, we've seen a massive spike in temporary immigration, whether it's temporary foreign workers or whether it's international students in particular that have grown at a rate far beyond what Canada has been able to absorb.
So I just wanted to add some facts around what the actual levels are on both the temporary side and the more permanent side. I'll start with the temporary side and how fast that number has gone up and over what years. In 2019, there were about 637 international study permits in place in this country, 637,000, sorry. In 2020, in the pandemic, that number decreased, right? A lot of those students went home, so there was only 527,000. Still a pandemic in 2021, so we're back up a bit, but not fully up to 616,000 international students. Here's where things go up and by a lot. In 2022, there were 804,000, so almost a jump of 200,000 international students in that 1 year after the pandemic. Then last year, well past 1 million, so 1,040,985 basically. So you went up more than another 200,000. So in the last 2 years, you've basically seen an increase of 400,000 temporary students. Now, the federal government just a few months ago in late January announced that they would be capping that number. And they also recently announced, in essence, a cap to temporary foreign workers to try and address that issue as well. But they had not announced their intention. They had news last summer about the possibility of a cap on temporary students, but took another 7 months, essentially, or 6 months, to actually announce that one would be in place. And you can see from those numbers, it's been years since the numbers started to increase. On the permanent side of things, in the 2023 to 2025 immigration levels plan, Canada basically said that they would welcome 410,000 to 505,000 permanent residents in 2023. Just over 500,000 in 2024, and they've now capped that number at 500,000 for all the years going forward. But basically 500,000 new permanent residents each year is the permanent side of the equation. They've now capped temporary foreign workers and students. There are also hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians who are taking refuge here as well that count toward those temporary numbers. I'll leave our program there. Thanks for listening. I'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Have a great afternoon.
Save on tires guaranteed with Myers 30-day price match. As the largest volume dealer group in Eastern Ontario, Myers sells Nissan, Toyota, Volkswagen, Hyundai, Dodge, Jeep, Chev, Buick, GMC, Cadillac, Infiniti, Ram, Chrysler, and now Subaru. So when you think tires, think Myers. With locations in Orleans, Nepean, Fells Corners, Canada, Barhaven, Manitic, and Kempville, you're just minutes away from Myers' 30-day price match guarantee.
This is News Talk 580 CFRA. Ottawa's home for live, local, breaking news.
Lotto 649 is making 2 millionaires every week, guaranteed. That means more millionaires cruising in their new cars. More millionaires enjoying their new homes. More millionaires going on new adventures. More jackpots, more ways to win, more Lotto 649 millionaires every single week. Play in store or online at OLG.ca. The next millionaire could be you.
Hey, it's Bill Carroll. You should see my house at night. Ever since we had Glow outdoor lighting installed, we've been celebrating. Red and white on Canada Day, St. Paddy's Day, green, orange at Halloween. Glow outdoor LED lighting is permanent and energy efficient with tons of colors and patterns that you can easily control from your smartphone. Book now to have your Glow outdoor lighting installed and you'll earn $200 towards any service from Neutral on Ottawa. Get your estimate at glooutdoorlighting.com. glooutdoorlighting.com.
CFRA AM Ottawa, a division of Bell Media and an iHeartRadio station. News Talk 580 CFRA. Live, local, breaking news, weather, and traffic.
It's 2 o'clock. Your update from the CTV Ottawa newsroom starts now.
Good afternoon. I'm Graham Richardson. Right now we're at 4 degrees and rain out there. It will turn to snow. Details coming up in your full forecast. First, your top stories. Ontario Provincial Police say hundreds of stolen cars have been recovered before they could be illegally shipped overseas. It's part of a months-long investigation called Project Vector. Deputy Commissioner Marty Kieran says the vehicles were recovered from sea containers at Montreal ports.
Between December 12th, 2023 and March 29th, 2024, 390 shipping containers were opened here in Montreal, resulting in 598 stolen vehicles being recovered as a direct result of Project Vector.
The federal government hosted a national summit in February to address the rise in car thefts across the country. The federal government setting aside several $1 billion in the upcoming budget for its apartment construction loan program. Speaking at a Toronto construction site, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says the funding will help build another 30,000 apartments within the next 10 years.
We're going to make a massive injection of funding into our existing apartment construction loan program. Another $15 billion available. And we're going to make the entire pot of funding available for matching partnerships with provinces and territories who come to the table with ambitious and fair housing plans.
The government is also reforming the program to extend loan terms and expand financing to housing for students and seniors. We're getting a better idea of what we're in for from the spring storm hitting us tonight. We could get between 15 to 20 centimeters of snow starting tonight. It's unclear how much may melt on contact and whether drivers will remember their winter habits. Environment Canada's David Phillips tells CTV News, while the amount is odd, snowfall in April is not.
In 85 years of records in Ottawa, there's only been 3 Aprils that have had no snow.
It could be worse. It was around this time last year that the region was hit with its most damaging ice storm since 1998. The mayor of Russell is stepping down to take a job within another district. Pierre Leroux, set to become the new chief administrative officer in the Nation municipality. Leroux's been the mayor of Russell since 2014. The moment from his term that generated the most news coverage was when Russell declared it was no longer